Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement brought in part to you by Pass the Ox.
Yeah, highlight.
Damn, Melissa.
Don't forget the real though. Yeah. I bet you won't turn me up. What's that you bumping? It ain't vibing hard enough. Hey, no. Check my playlist, guaranteed you ain't hit top. From the indies to the mainstream, bringing all the stuff. Music talks for Dwayne and Janean. Run it up. Run it. Pass that ox. Pass that ox. Hey. Bobby, through you. Back on the scene, Dwayne and Janean. I'm bringing the facts, they know what I mean. Music comparisons, yeah, it's embarrassing. Up in the Ford, I feel like I'm Harrison.
God dang, I ain't heard that theme in a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the greatest audio podcast of all audio podcasts. That's right, you heard it. 1, 2, 3, ladies and gentlemen, going down for the count. It is Pass the Season 2, baby. You gotta make that known. It's season 2 up in this thing.
Yes,
Season 2. Happy 2021, ladies and gents. We are back in this thing. You know what I'm saying? What's happening to my panel? Wait a minute before I actually ask them that question. Let me introduce them because, well, you might be a new listener to this thing. So if you're new to season 2 and you're new to Pass the Ox, well, first of all, how you doing? Welcome. Welcome. You know what I'm saying? Nonetheless, it's about time, right? Yeah, it took you long enough, but still. Welcome to season 2. Welcome to Pass the Ox. It's your boy, Dwayne, your favorite neighborhood mediator / podcast exquisinaire. You know what I'm saying? Add that one to the list. You already know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by the one, the only, the queen of Clatchit, the also Clatchit, and you already know Miss Bougie Thuggin sipping on a little something not called the blah 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 blah. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Miss Janean.
Hey, it feels so good to be back. It feels so great to be back. I'm so excited to reconnect.
Yes, I know.
Pass the Ox season 2. Yes.
Such a beautiful experience, isn't it? I know. I've missed you guys, man.
Yes, it's been
way too long, man. I'm telling you, it's like, gosh, you know, man. Shout out to them little season breaks. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta have those, but still. The holidays, man, they'll do that to you. Nonetheless, I can't forget my right hand man, my brother from another, the hardest working man in show business. He already know, even though he might kind of not be in the best of moods, that Celtic Green Pride lost today. So I know he feeling it just a little bit. Nah, he's good. Okay, he's good.
Good.
Okay, it's a quick checkup. He's good. He's good. All right.
My Celtics don't treat me like my Eagles do. So I'm
good. So he's good. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you already know him as the extraordinary. You already know the critique of artiste and the hardest working man in show business. The one, the only Derrick. What's up, sir?
What's going on? It is great to be back. It has been a little while since we've given them a great show.
I know, like so much has happened since the last time we met and recorded. Peoples, so many projects, so many ideas, so many,
some
stuff.
Artists got pardoned.
yes, pardoned. Go figure.
Hey man, look, it's been a wild time, but yeah, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back. The world needed Pass the Ox, don't you think? Yeah. I sure think so.
Agreed.
Sure.
And well, here we are, ready to not disappoint you people. That being said, let's get into the segment that we already know, how we kick it off. So again, if you're new to the show, we always kick this thing off with a little segment we like to call What's in Your ears.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
metaphor.
I'm sorry.
Okay, now we're bringing that back this year. Okay. Some things change and some things don't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what's been in my ears? All right.
Oh man.
I've been kind of all over the place. I want to say I've been revisiting Goody Mob. I've been revisiting old school Outcast. Um, I got introduced to this artist, Akeem Ali, who is super dope. But as far as like whole projects, nothing new. I have just really been getting into the Tiana Taylor's last album, the album.
Yeah.
It was a good first listen. I don't know if it's the weather. I don't know what's happening, but it was just hitting harder. And I've been listening to that pretty heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. I so of course my regular is J. Cole. That's no secret. I listen to him almost every week. No, I listen every week almost kind of almost every day. But um Chris Brown. I've found myself listening to Chris Brown a lot over the last week, and I don't know why. But I've been playing, especially like his older projects. Like I don't know why, but those have been on repeat. Um Jasmine Sullivan's EP.
Let's talk about it.
See, I was saving
Fire.
mine for the other segment, but
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
Okay.
no,
We'll
no, it's
save it.
fine.
No, we'll
Hey, there
save
are
it. We'll
no rules
save it.
here.
We
No
Let's
rules.
save it.
we
We can
can
save
save
it.
it.
We
We
can
can
save
save
it.
it.
Hold
Yeah.
on. Let's save that juiciness.
Let's
Let's
save
save
it.
that
So
juiciness. You know what
I'll
I'm
just
saying?
say I've listened to it a couple of times. Um but also I've been on that black kick as well. Um been listening to a lot of him and Miguel. Those
Mm.
two those I don't know why I'm in this. I get into that R&B mode a lot. Not actually over the last year or two. It hasn't been a lot as it normally would be, but it's I'm getting back into that groove, and I'm actually going to say that was thanks to Jasmine. I'm gonna give that credit to her because I don't know why. I just hadn't like been in that mode a lot recently, but yeah, R&B is Jasmine. I think Jasmine and Ari Lennox are. Uh, I'll just save it. I'll just save it. I'll save it. But yeah, R&B is not dead.
Never.
No, it was dying.
Never.
That thing was on its last leg, but I think these black queens have saved it.
Okay. All right. I see these black queens have saved it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know how it goes.
Yeah, it's all
See.
good.
My bad.
Well, y'all, you already know, man. Your boy. Whoo. Okay, so I've been on some Wale hard, old school Wale. I've been on his mixtapes, More About Nothing. Uh, literally a mixtape about nothing.
Yeah.
Uh, and just a couple other things. Interesting fact that I didn't really realize or know, and I'm trying to understand how this man didn't keep these guys under his roster. I had no clue J. Cole and Wale was under Sean Carter's label.
You didn't know that?
Heck no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when that's
I
how
knew
Cole.
Cole was. I didn't know Wale was the same time Cole was.
Now that I didn't know it was at the same time.
Yeah,
So
apparently they were on.
he leave Rock Nation and go to MMG?
I'm assuming so. I'm gonna assume because Rock Nation was definitely, or I should say, Maybach was exactly what catapulted him on that mainstream sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, ultimately, it seems that way. You know,
Now that
um,
I didn't know.
Me either. So that's why
Yeah,
I'm just like,
it's interesting.
wonder if that guy kicks himself in the foot sometimes. Just, like,
What
dang, I had
projects?
two of the most talented artists under my roster.
What projects? What did he do on the Rock Nation?
Well, his mixtapes,
Oh,
More
his
About
mixtape.
Nothing,
Okay.
Mixtape About Nothing, those were all with his time under Rock Nation.
Those those to me, um, his mixtapes were his most complete projects.
I agree. I agree. Um, Funny thing about my mixtape journey, as I told you guys, thanks to Derrick for
Yeah.
putting me onto that Piff
Yes,
mobile
sir.
app. You know what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying? And going back and listening to him. One thing I really appreciate, and this is why I myself as an artist is definitely about to step back into this mixtape bag because of the fact that you know, there is more creative freedom on mixtapes, man. You feel pressured to try to make hits with albums. And I actually learned this, which I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about later, because while we were on our hiatus, I was catching up on a Netflix series, Evolution of Hip Hop. And so there was a
Hmm.
portion where it talked about 50 Cent and how he kind of took off when he was on his rise, and how before he actually hit mainstream, he was kind of killing it in the mixtape scenes, which created the mixtape era. And
Hmm.
how next thing I know, every artist was basically creating mixtapes, putting out mixtapes, making revenue off mixtapes. DJs and artists was just basically killing it more than albums were killing it,
Yes.
and to the point
Yes.
where the FBI had to step in and darn near was arresting DJ Drama and Cannon, and all of them. So it
Wow.
was like, just
I
because
do
they were
remember when they
that
got
threatened by
arrested.
that,
Yeah,
yeah,
I do
they
remember
were
that.
that
DJ Drama and
threatened,
DJ Cannon mixtapes are legendary.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they were
Oh my
that the
god.
FBI was that threatened by the power of the mixtape. You get what I'm
So
saying?
let me ask you this: um, if artists can make money off of mixtapes, how is it uh regulated in terms of not going into that lane of copyright infringement? Because there are a lot of mixtapes where artists,
Borrow
sample.
somebody else's beat,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's not an issue with copyright infringement with that, but it is when it's a mainstream album.
That's very interesting because generally mixtapes they were talking about were in like swap meets, like Canal Street in New York, for example.
Hmm.
So obviously, that's what you would call under the table money, technically,
Hmm.
in a
Right,
way. It was
right,
kind of like under the table money, essentially. But it
right.
got
The
so
FBI
big
came.
because of, yeah, but it got so big because of
Where
word
the
of
taxes
mouth.
at?
Hmm.
Exactly. And see, with the word of mouth, obviously it blew up. But
Yeah.
see, here's the thing. As they mentioned in Evolution of Hip Hop, which like I said, I'll talk to you guys more about because like I said, all of those series was really good, but specifically just off covering this mixtape portion, uh, they mentioned the fact that at the time when the physical CDs stopped because of the law enforcement getting in the process and shutting down all these warehouses and all these places where mixtapes were sold, basically mixtapes became a thing where it was like, okay, that's cool. You can stop it, but you can't stop it because then online
Hmm.
mixtapes became a thing.
Hmm.
And they're still a thing, you know?
For sure.
So
For sure.
even now, you can't stop a mixtape online
Yeah.
thanks to streams,
Yeah.
And so you may not make the same revenue that you did make with the physical copies,
Hmm.
but you blow up. You
So
blow up, man.
so how does the whole payment thing work then?
Generally, for mixtapes these days online, unless you're doing it through a band camp or
Mhm.
something like that, you won't make revenue off of a mixtape. As you know, with that piff, a lot of times you can charge on that piff for your mixtape to be sold if you want,
Mhm.
but generally, most people let it be a free download, and they just promote it because they just care about the clout, the attention they're gonna get because a lot of
Yeah.
people are on that piff and you're gonna get streams, plays, and people gonna know your name, who you are, and then boom. Next thing you know, you just take off
And
like a rocket.
I'm not super knowledgeable in the music industry terms and what classifies what. But I thought that that's what always was the point of a mixtape. Like I'm just putting some something out for free versus
Hmm.
Yeah,
charging you for it.
Yeah.
exactly. Like
These are just throwaway. Well,
in the in the
throwaway.
early in the early days though of the mixtape phase, it was kind of another way of making CD sales under the table without it being an actual album, but it was an album.
Mm-hmm.
Because another thing, the reason why you could make money from mixtapes, Derek, to answer your question,
Hmm.
mixtapes used to be the thing, and like I said, to some degree they still are. Mixtapes was also a thing where when you partnered with the DJ would actually play a hidden unreleased track that's original.
So it was
So
a
when you did
supply
it through the
demand type of thing.
DJ,
Okay.
you bought it because you wanted to hear that exclusive music, not the
Yeah.
freestyles,
Yeah.
but the exclusive music that you knew was not going to be on that album or was something leaked before the album.
Right. 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 Okay. Okay.
You know,
All
so
right.
but yeah, so I found myself on some Wale, like I said, with the old school mixtapes, man. Kind of went back on my old school vibes again. You know what I'm saying? Had a little Temptations, a little
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Curtis Mayfield, a little bit of
Uh-huh.
you know what I'm saying, Otis Redding. You know, I found myself in those, I'm a grown man, old school bag a little bit.
Drinking
And
eggnog.
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And
You should do a
of
sample
course
of one of the, like I definitely want to hear you on an Otis Redding sample.
it's definitely gonna come. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try my best to do one without having to freestyle to Otis, but I'm gonna definitely
Yeah.
see what we can do about that for sure, because that would be nice to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely got to bring it into the Memphis one time, and that that's definitely a Memphis OG. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun to do. Um, Found myself well, speaking of Memphis, went into a Yo Gotti phase for a little bit.
Nice.
Yo Gotti, Young G, kind of back to the streets a little bit, but for the most part, yeah, that was about it. I had a little R&B mix in there too, a little
Mhm.
bit, a little bit. Guess you could say a little bit of Ursha Baby, a little bit of
Ursha.
you know what I'm saying, little Trey Songs, believe it or not. That's a
Man.
name that doesn't go really unnoticed anymore. You know what I'm saying? A guy named Trey Songs. Go figure. You
I,
know.
That's a good mix up, sir. You should
yeah.
start sharing your playlist with us.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will, guys.
Whatever you're
Because
listening to that day, send it
I
our way.
do, like real talk, no lie. When I did on the day I was feeling old school, right? I was at the job and I was playing my old school playlist. I'm talking about I had my coworker. It was just me and my coworker that day. We didn't have our full team, so it was literally just me and him in the back, just straightening up merch and everything. And like, dude, I'm talking about I had this man jamming so hard. Man, like, hey, bro, what you know about that, man? I'm talking about this man was back here like he was singing in the shower, boy. This man
Yeah.
was
I
over here just
love it.
grooving. I like, uh-huh. Yeah, you think I do all that, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about it was just hitting left to right. There was not one song to skip off that playlist. So yeah, highlight to share some of those with y'all, man. Y'all already know what's coming. But let's transition to Miss Janine, the Queen of Clatchet. This is the Queen of Clatchet's corner where
Oh yeah.
she shares on if we got any entertainment news or anything we need to catch up on that happened over time with our hiatus to now. Like what's been going on, cuz?
Yeah. I definitely want to talk about what Derek previewed Jasmine Sullivan's project. The streets was hungry and we didn't even know it. Like it was
Yes.
perfect. Perfect
Yes.
timing, perfect vibe. It was wonderful. And,
Yes, it
and
was.
I don't think Jasmine Sullivan really gets the credit that she deserves, or her name doesn't come up when people start wanting to name these great R&B artists. Not only is her pen amazing, but her voice is beyond me.
Yes. Yeah.
Beyond me.
She
He looks mesmerized.
I
If you're not on YouTube right now, I wish you
yeah,
can see this.
I'm sorry. I'm speechless with her. Like she's amazing. And this so At first I did not I thought this was an album at first. Because actually that's actually how it was presented.
Hmm.
But I think she went on Twitter or something like that, said, please stop calling this an album. This is not an album, this is an EP, which made more sense to me because it was only like 30 minutes long. Um, but after hearing that track with her and Ari Lennox, I want to hear a collab album from them. I need a Jasmine Ari collab album. Like I need that
You
now.
see,
That'd be a great idea.
you
Yeah.
see, it's so funny that you should say that because there was another artist that she featured on with in this project
Hmm.
that I said these two need a collab project because I would love to vibe to these two. She and my boy Anderson Pack, baby.
Yes. Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my
Yes.
Yes, yes,
goodness.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Boy, talk
Yeah.
about, oh, I'm just cruising. I was literally down Scenic Highway, you know what I'm saying, riding on 78. Next thing I know, that track came on, like, oh, snap. Yo, what's this? And I hear
Yeah.
my boy Pack. I said, is that Pack? That's
Yeah.
my boy Pack? Oh,
Yeah.
I love Pac because like he gives us old school funky vibes. You
Hmm.
know,
yes,
it's
yes.
still good music.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man, like, that
Has
has to
he
happen.
has he done something with Bruno?
I was just about to ask the same thing. I don't
I
think they have
wouldn't
collabed
be
yet.
surprised.
They need to do something soon too.
I
But
agree.
even though I could not sing a word, because based on what Ari and Jasmine were talking about, I
You can
that is
envision it being done.
yes for sure, yeah. But I can't sing that. I like to be able to sing along with a lot of the R&B music that I listen to. That one is not a word of that cannot be uttered from me.
Yeah, you just got to
But
play that in the
just
background
playing, just
softly.
like,
Yeah.
Play it in the
admire their
background.
voices. That's it. The melodies.
There you
Um,
go.
yeah, but yeah, I need an album from them like ASAP because that's not even a collab that I have had ever thought about. Like of all the people that I thought maybe Ari could work with, I don't know why Jasmine never came to mind. But yeah, we need to see that soon. They
Hmm.
killed that. R&B has R&B has its leaders again. We R&B for a while had like no one to lead the charge. I think Ari and Jasmine are the ones to carry that. I think they're the ones that could definitely do that. Um, because they just killed it. They kill it. I'm
Every
still
time.
playing it. Yeah, every single time. There's not a miss. I don't know if I've ever heard something that either one of them have done individually that there has been a miss. So
You know what I
Hmm.
love about them um and about the song you like but can't sing.
yeah.
Um like we're in this time of like what being like a confident woman is, like what being sexually confident is, and everybody thinks that that looks like a city girls or that looks like a Meg the Stallion, but y'all aren't looking at Jasmine Sullivan and Janae, and they're saying the same things. It's all about confidence and about owning your situation
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
in a
my
different
god.
way.
Yeah. Forgot about Jenny Aiko too.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
ah,
Yeah. There's
man.
another. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Even
It's
though
it's,
even though
it's
all of her songs do kind of sound alike at times, it does
Definitely
sound
has a
like
sound.
yeah, she does have definitely has a sound, but it sounds great. It doesn't sound like
Hmm.
something I can't listen to. I don't know. I think R&B. If there are artists that follow their charge, R&B will be in a better place than it's been in what 20 years, close to 20 years.
Do you think it isn't where it's been because you're looking at like talent pool, or because R&B has now become more more of like a subgenre under everything. They're not like on the radio anymore. You don't see it as much.
I think it's a little bit of the artist pool and the fact that R&B has you have singers that are trying to rap. You remember when we were
Uh-huh.
having rappers that were singing for a while, and it was okay, but um having them try to go into the lane of rapping has kind of killed the genre a little bit. Like,
Okay.
or brought it to a standstill. I'll say that because I think the last wave of R&B we had Neo, we had Usher, we had Trey, we
Mario.
Mario. Yeah, like all of those. That was like the last wave, and Alicia Keys. I mean, oh God, you can't forget about
Oh,
her.
I was listening to her. Yeah.
Uh,
Alicia Keys.
I mean that that era was the last great wave of R&B, and the prime the prime was definitely the 90s. I don't care
Of
what
course.
anyone says, but that was the last wave, and it kind of came to a standstill after they went to go do other things. So it's good to hear R&B get back to its roots. Like, I don't want to if I want to hear an R&B project, I want to hear a full R&B project. I don't want to hear the hybrid of sounds where you're doing a little bit of singing and then you're also doing rap or trap or whatever it is you want to do. Not to say that artists should not have the freedom to do it, but when you're claiming to be an R&B artist, to me, it has to be the true authentic R&B. I don't want manufactured R&B. I want
You are an
authentic.
R&B purist.
Yes. Yes, just like I'm a rap purist. I love lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I guess I'm just an old school music head. I don't like um some of the immersion and the fusion that we've seen. I don't like that. I don't like that. I like what we used to have.
I
Which
don't know
kind
what
of sounds,
you're
you know, old, but
you're just the uncle now. Like, what are y'all listening to? You don't know good music. Back in my day, we listened to that. That's us now,
yes, and
and
I'm
and
okay
and
with
it's kind of hard to accept these new versions of what we think is amazing.
yeah,
But that's kind of what's happening.
yeah, I'm
We are
okay
the
with it.
aunties and the uncles.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I'm
can understand
beyond
that.
okay with that.
That's definitely me with hip hop, so I could understand it.
Yeah,
I agree. I
yeah.
totally agree.
But
Man, let's.
salute to them.
Wow.
This
Salute
may
to them.
not be on the same page, but now that I'm thinking about it, somebody else that I revisit um, on what I think or what's in my ears was Weekend. I was listening to the Weekend's last
Yes,
album,
yes, yes.
After Hours, the After Hours or the Dark Hours or whatever.
I think it's after hours.
And After Hours, is he pop? Like what category would you put him in? Is my first question.
I don't know.
He
He's a
doesn't
little
have a
ambiguous.
genre.
Yeah, he's a little
He
ambiguous.
makes sexy vampire music. That needs to be his genre. Does it not sound like a
Twilight.
scene inside of the Queen of the Damned and like a slow, sexy vampire comes walking? It's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. But this last album, I liked it because it had like 80s vibes kind of.
hmm
But again, he can't fit into a genre. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. Sorry, I had to
that's
take it
no,
back.
It's
that's a
cool.
good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
It's cool. I kind of actually forgot to throw a little artist in myself, a duo actually, which is throwback because you don't really get a lot of duos, and this is a very underground hip hop duo. But I found myself listening to some Earth Gang,
Oh,
Oh,
I love
and
Earth Gang. Yes.
this is actually my first time checking them out. Believe
Yeah.
it or not, only because I knew about them. I had heard about them. I just never got around to really checking them out. And was chopping it up with a friend, and like he was just like, "Yo, man, they say Earth Gang is like a modern day Outcast." I'm like, "Really?" he's like, yeah, and then they're different, like Outkast got this swag, and then it's like
Hmm.
there's this one cat that literally is like a reincarnation of Three Stacks. And I'm like, really? Okay, interesting. So I started checking them out, feeling the vibes, man. Very
Yeah,
different, very
yeah.
different. But
Another
yeah,
Dreamville artist.
if Outkast was reincarnated, that definitely would be these gentlemen. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Pretty sure. You know.
Let me ask you this. This is kind of, well, this is off base, but do you think Dreamville has the best collection of artists today?
That's tough
Think
because I think
it's
about
so
good
yeah.
music.
Hmm.
And I think
That's
about TDE.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
mm,
think it's gonna be hard. I don't know.
yeah, because
yeah.
see, TD, good music. I
Hmm.
don't know, man. It's tough. That's tough.
They're up there. I there's not one artist that they've had that when I listen to their music, I'm not impressed by. It's it's a great collection of art. They have a great roster. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is amazing. But I need to hear some more Ari Lennox, man. I just That's my girl, man. That's my
Yeah.
girl. I love her.
Ari is mesmerizing.
Yeah, she unfollowed me on Twitter, by the way. I don't know why.
Dear
Kind of hurt.
Ari,
I'm kind of
if
hurt by
you're
that.
listening to this, one Melvin,
Come on
She
now.
will be
please follow
following
him
me
back.
again.
He loves you.
She's gonna follow again.
You gotta love it, man. You gotta love
Yeah.
it. Let me tell you. Um, so I guess you know, I'll bring up a very interesting retro ride for you guys, right?
Hmm.
With I was telling you guys about the evolution of hip hop and
Hmm.
the series on Netflix. So I remember initially when I first saw it, it had I think about 4 episodes in the first season. So I saw it, paid it attention, but I didn't because, in all due respect, it starts off with a bunch of New York history because, as you know, hip hop is based out of New York. So it was like, all right, cool, but I ain't a New Yorker. So
Hmm.
it's like, I can't really get into the history. Then I found out they had more seasons. And then they started talking my language. Because then, all of a sudden, they started talking about the South. Then you got to Houston.
Hmm.
You got to Atlanta. You got to
Atlanta.
Memphis. You know what I'm saying? You got to Florida. Then all of a sudden, things was really adding up now because then it was like a memory lane. Oh, and I can't forget Louisiana, of course, in the midst of that as well. So,
Hmm.
you know, I really found it dope when I found out. Didn't even really seem to think about that because, and maybe you guys can agree because we're all in the same age range. So, like, growing up at that time, I just remember hearing all these artists around the same time.
Hmm.
Never really seemed to think about the fact that when it came to Memphis and they brought up Memphis artists, I never quite thought about the fact. Well, first of all, actually, let me before I even get to that, what's cool about Outkast is that actually, fun fact to a lot of people who didn't know, I found this very, very informative about the city of Atlanta in general. The reason why Atlanta is the music mecca that it is today, hip hop is in Atlanta because of a New Yorker that introduced hip hop to Atlanta. Never really realized that until they actually brought that up. One New Yorker moved from New York to Atlanta. He tried to introduce hip hop to Atlanteans who did not know what this hip hop thing was.
Hmm.
They weren't really gravitating to it because he wasn't one of them. And it took someone from Atlanta to embrace hip hop for it to then kind of trend into what it trended into. And yet somehow it's crazy. hip hop was based out of New York, and still, even with the Atlanta Mecca today, still owes it to New York because a New Yorker brought hip hop out here to Atlanta to then kind of Atlanta just took it from that point on and made it its own flavor.
And has
You know what
not
I'm
given
saying?
it back.
And
No.
have not given it back, but still, you know what I'm saying? That was an interesting fact. So,
Yeah.
of
Who's the New York?
course, oh man, honestly, it was a guy that
I thought you
I
was
have
gonna
to
say
go back and
somebody we
remember his
knew.
name.
That's
Yeah,
what I thought.
because
I
Okay.
was like, ooh,
it's
like he
not
was
it's not
building us
anyone.
up.
It's literally nobody that you would know, nobody we would know. This person is so
Okay.
before our time that
Yeah.
Okay.
we wouldn't even remember this name. He's just one of those founding fathers where you don't know the name, doesn't ring
Mhm.
a bell, doesn't register, but you kind of salute it because you're like, okay, so basically, if it was not for you, the artists that we have had here in Atlanta probably wouldn't have existed. Or
I
if
think
they
they
did,
would have.
Reasonable
I think they would have.
people. Yeah, I think most reasonable people would be like, okay, obviously, if you are a hip hop head, you know where it started. It started in New York, so obviously we would have had to get it from them. I just think it was, at that point where Outkast was at the Source Awards and was like, "Atlanta got something to say. The South got something to say." It was just that period of where y'all was not trying to respect us because we're from the
mhm.
we're all country,
Hmm.
apparently.
Yeah, and that was what I really enjoyed personally about these newer seasons because it told the story of the South. Because again, as a southerner, even though there's a little northerner in me, I'm mostly in my southern bag. You know what I'm saying? Mostly is where most of my heritage and my grown-up life is from is the South. So
Hmm.
I understood more of the southern culture than I did the northern culture of music. So it's like the Outcasts, the No Limits, the 3 6 Mafias,
Yeah.
the UGKs.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? The Uncle Lukes, the
Hmm.
Lil Johns and the East Side Boyses. All of these eras
Hmm.
were definitely more relatable. So the thing about it was what was interesting. Speaking of Outcast, Cuzzo, even that was interesting because I never really paid attention to the fact that that actually was around the time of the East Coast West Coast beef, and here we are in the South, like, well, we're not East, we're not West, we are the South, baby.
Right. We ain't got
We're the
nothing to do with
South.
none
We
of
have
that.
nothing to do with what y'all
Not our
and
fight.
y'all got going on.
Yeah.
I always found that kind of funny now when I look back at it, especially because here's little old Outcast, just we're gonna win this Source Award, you know. Snoop Dogg, like, oh, y'all ain't got love for the West Coast. Ooh,
Could you
Yeah.
all these
imagine
folks.
being like our age time, like in real time, seeing all of this happen? Like that's such a
Yeah,
Had
such
they
an
had
amazing
social
time.
media back then,
Oh,
man,
oh no.
oh
man,
my
tell me
god.
about it.
Oh my
Y'all,
god.
I sit there every day and looking back at that, I was just like, wow, yeah, if social media was a thing back then, oh boy, that
That
Suge Knight
that
video
beef
alone.
that beef would have grown a lot faster. I think it probably would have gotten a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, it would have been
For
harder to
sure.
die out
Yeah.
too. It would have
Yeah.
been a lot harder for it to die out
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of
The
Yeah.
fact
social
that you had to
media.
travel to get to somebody, like it took a
Yeah.
few steps.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
You couldn't
Oh yeah.
just
you had
inbox
to
them like,
actually
hey, meet up here.
you had to actually hate that person in
Yeah,
order
like I
to
had to put effort into finding you and whooping that ass. Like I had to
Bruh.
really not like you.
I am
yeah.
telling you,
Or like
Yeah.
a coincidental thing. Like, oh, we're in the same place at the same time.
Right.
you know. But real talk, what I want to say is Neen, I thought about that time, when we had our native North Atlanta guest on the show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought about the fact that when I asked you guys, who do you consider to be your residential king of Atlanta? You know, you guys automatically went and said 3 stacks. And I asked another native Atlantean the same question, and he actually kind of agreed with that for the most part because of the fact that he brought up the Source Awards and the fact that the emotion, which they even touched about in this, was the emotion of what Andre said.
Hmm.
With I feel like the South got something to say, and it seemed like ain't none of y'all trying to hear it. I just
Right.
want to know what it is. Like, what's up with that? You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
the real emotion that Andre brought to the front. in the middle of an East Coast, West Coast beef at that.
Yeah.
Letting y'all know we got talent out here in the South. We got something to say.
Yeah.
And look at what that catapulted ever since.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
Andre.
You see what I'm saying? So
Mr. Three
it's so crazy to see how far the South has come from, and again, it's love. Again, if you're listening and you're from the West, you're from the East Side, hey, there's nothing wrong with either or. It's just talking about the life of the South and how it rose musically
Mm-hmm.
and culturally,
Mm-hmm.
from the people in Houston telling y'all about Chopped and Screwed and how that originated. You know what I'm saying? Cadillacs and candy paint. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Sipping on perp. How that's legit. Something that they do. That's Southern culture in Texas,
Yeah.
the way they live. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Coming to Atlanta where they talked about, like literally crunk music. You know what I'm saying? And just a way of dance and snap and culture and
That was
flavor.
what a time that crunk that crunk era
which,
was.
which we're gonna get to. We're gonna get to
Oh
because
my
here's
God.
here's what I found. Now here's an interesting fact about that era and what catapulted that I found out and had no clue of. As a native Memphian, they transition and they bring out the Memphis. They talk about the history of Memphis music and how 3-6 came about and how Memphis music came about, things of that nature. So as 3-6 was starting to hit, they kind of rise.
Mm-hmm.
What was interesting that I never really realized. Well, for one, a lot of people say, well, okay, the name 3-6 Mafia obviously represents a lot, right? Of course.
Especially
And
if you were in the church.
yeah. Okay,
They try to
obviously.
explain it like, oh, doesn't mean that they're saying it was like 6 members at first, and then it came down to 3. So it was like, oh, we're gonna do 3-6 Mafia. Y'all know, hey, y'all know what y'all was doing. They try to clean that up
But
real
see,
nice.
but see how DJ Paul explained it. Initially they were all fans of horror music. I mean, horror films. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? The Freddys, the Jasons, the Michael Myers, the Leatherface, all of that. They love horror films, and so the darkness and the suspense music you got from horror films is
Mhm.
what initially created their sound. They took
Mhm.
the suspense and the darkness of horror music, and then they put Memphis chop flavor sounds in it, which created a whole different sound, which
That's
then
interesting.
created the anthems and the chants that they made.
Yeah. That's
Right?
interesting.
Now, here's what really got me was that 3-6 mentions the fact that I never really paid that much attention, but they were kind of viewed at as like a hip hop rock star group. They was on
I
like
can
some
see
real
that.
rock star type feels. You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
I can
For
see
Mm-hmm.
their
that.
time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what really got me was how the influence of 3-6 and the music they made is what actually created crunk music in Atlanta. Because Lil Jon
Really?
actually made chant music from the chant music that 3-6 was doing in Memphis. So I found that very,
Hmm.
very interesting. I never really paid attention or realized how those cultural influences created these eras the way they did.
That's interesting.
Now that you say that, because Memphis is known for that yeah ho, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we have that ATL. It's
Oh,
the same thing. We're
ATL.
all family.
We're all family. Look at that. You see what I'm saying?
Never put the two together.
You never put the two together. So this is why I say this is why I
Wow.
love this series so much, Evolution of Hip Hop. So here's another fun fact that I learned and never thought about. Let's transition to yet another thing that brings Atlanta into the fray. As I talked to you guys earlier and mentioned the mixtape era and the mixtape phase and what 50 Cent did, he revolutionized the whole era of the mixtape phase of life.
Right.
Well, what's interesting is that a certain up and coming rapper at the time of when that was happening by the name of T.I.
Mm-hmm.
happened to see what 50 was doing up there and said, hey, we need that down south. We need to do something like that out here. Next thing you know, trap music is born. And to this day, the sound that you hear is nonetheless trap sound.
Yeah,
They
that's
introduced
very
what
interesting.
the producer for T.I. at the time, who created the trap sound, the way the instrumental and the drums and the snares, and it was like, man, mind blowing that Curtis 50 Cent Jackson sparked something in Tip Harris? Huh.
That is very
Trap music.
interesting. Very.
Who would have thought all of that was so connected, y'all?
That is so beautiful to watch, like a documentary like that. It really where people took the time to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Because sometimes we're so caught up in the I am from the South or I'm from the West Coast that you don't see how we're all influencing and helping and inspiring each other, and it's a
Agreed.
evolution.
Agreed. Because even with the West Coast, what I learned was before NWA actually brought the West Coast to the forefront and introduced rap to the West Coast, because
Mhm.
that's all NWA that did that. Because before
Mhm.
NWA, the West Coast was not exactly known for rap. They were known for basically 80s like music, like
Yeah, like
the
rock and
very
roll.
Like that G funk
techno-ish
type stuff.
sound. Yeah, that techno-ish type of sound.
Yeah.
You know, hip hop was never known out there. And
Yeah.
then out comes these three gentlemen, you know, Dr. Dre, Easy E, you know, Ice Cube. They come together, they form this NWA thing, and they tell you, just like Andre, which is also fitting, that the West has something to say,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Hence, that then takes off. But you know what was really interesting to me, and again, I hate to be that guy because New York, I got love for y'all, but why y'all gotta hate on people when they kind of start their own version of what you created? Because they hated on the West Coast for what they did, mocking them with the Jerry curls. They showed little rap beefs where people was mad at NWA because they just blew up and
Mm-hmm.
made the West Coast known for hip hop now.
Mm-hmm.
They were hating and booing on the South because Outkast wins a Source Award and they looking like the best promising hip hop duo. I don't understand it, guys. Y'all the innovators, but people like to take what just
Mm-hmm.
like what we just said about R&B,
Mm-hmm.
just like what we just said about hip hop. Now,
Yeah.
y'all
I
wanted to
think
be the uncles.
that, and two, I think we're also trying to get people out of the mindset or into like there's enough out here for everybody. Like just
Yeah.
because the West Coast has their thing going on, that doesn't mean that we're taking any money out of your pocket. We aren't stealing your fans. It's just more shit for people to listen to and get into.
And
Mhm.
it was a lot of ego that was involved with it too. There was a lot of ego that was involved with it. That's honestly with you talking about 50 inspiring Ti, it, as petty as he is, I don't think I've ever heard him talk about that in terms of being the
Like
inspiration
the
behind
first,
trap.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard him talk about that. Is that something he even
He
knows about?
probably he probably didn't even realize or know about it. See,
Bro,
again,
he
that's the
does
beauty
now.
of
Yeah.
evolution of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Evolution of hip
Mm,
hop. That's one of those things that makes this documentary so cool because it, as Janine mentioned, it shows you the evolution of how each coast and each era just created another era.
right.
And it didn't even get into the Soldier Boy era yet. So I'm excited to see if there's another season of this coming because it still has to get into the Crank That era
They need to talk about Soldier
because
Boy.
that's a whole nother era because that introduced the social media era,
Hmm. And the
Yeah.
ringtones.
Yeah.
Question.
ringtone
So
era.
so
Yes.
so we're talking about coast, East Coast, South. Where would you put like a Bone Thugs and Harmony or like a Do or Die or like a Twister? Like, are they their
Mhm.
own thing or would you consider them South? Like, where do they go?
Generally, they usually call that the Midwest.
No, on the map
Generally,
it's Midwest. Right. But I
generally.
feel like they never had like I guess they didn't have like a wave of artists to dominate that established. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
I get what you mean. Yeah, because I know with Bone Thugs and Harmony, for example, like they were different in their sound because they are the originators of melodic rap in the terms
Yeah,
of
yeah,
they were the ones that originated what you have in a sound today of fast rap meets melody behind your raps,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, and they looked like guys who came out of the West Coast.
hmm
Yeah.
I initially used to think that growing up. They dressed like they were from the West Coast. I
yeah,
thought they were from the West.
yeah,
And I found out they were from Cleveland. Wow. Didn't expect that.
Who
yeah,
would have thunk?
But
yeah,
that is something to think about, though. What would you call it? I mean, again, I always thought it was just considered Midwestern, but that is an interesting thought. They are above the South in terms of
yeah.
direction. Which, by the way,
Which by the way, what?
Derek had a thought. Derek had a
Yeah,
thought.
because I struggle with this part because directionally, even though the South, comprises of a lot of states, I don't necessarily think of Florida as the South. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think about it like especially with the way they sound. They sound completely different than what you would normally hear in the South. And I think that might also be because they're comprised of so many cultures in Florida, um, that it doesn't have that unique sound that like Atlanta does. It's a melting pot. But I don't even think of Florida like I know directionally. I know it's south. Is south is south.
Right, like on a map, I know where it's at, but music
Yeah.
wise.
Musically, when you talk about the South, I don't think about Florida
Mhm.
at all.
No, that's agreed because that was another coast. Let's talk about a quick thought and a quick little fact about Florida.
Hmm.
To those who do know a resident by the name of Uncle Luke,
Hmm.
you know,
Hey,
well, Florida's known for that bouncy,
Yeah.
bouncy, shake your, derriere type
Yeah.
music. Right now, here's the thing,
Derriere.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, derriere. Yeah, a little old school, right? Yeah,
he's
there we
so
go.
classy, so much class.
But check this out. Check this out. Here's the thing. Uncle Luke. Now we again were probably way too young to remember this. Thanks to the evolution of hip hop on Netflix for actually bringing this up. Uncle Luke went on a special trial back in the day because, well, let's just say Uncle Billy was kind of hating on Uncle Luke. And Uncle Billy and Auntie Sarah felt like, this music is just way too degrading and
I'm so,
explicit and
I
they
see it
just
all
felt
over your
like
face. I because I was
they
saying, I was
just
like, hold on, who's Uncle Billy? I'm like, did I
I was
miss?
like, I was like, is this a is he an OG rapper? Like what?
But I see where you're going. I see where you're going. Yeah,
uh-huh,
my bad. My
I'm
hey,
bad.
here.
you see,
I'm
Yeah,
following.
this is
We're
yeah,
here.
yeah, we're here. You
yeah,
see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Uncle Billy and Auntie Susan,
Uh-huh.
they felt like this music was too degrading, too revealing, too out there and explicit,
Mm-hmm.
So they tried to sue Uncle Luke in a case. And this case was so important and monumental that had it gone the other way, hip hop to this day may not be what it is in terms of FCC airwaves.
That's interesting.
This one case, which by the way, Uncle Luke did win.
Yeah, yeah.
Hip hop wins, people.
Yes,
Hip
sir.
hop won. However, this case at the time was so freaking crucial that guys, it easily could have went the other way. And had it done that, hip hop would not be. And this goes for R&B as well, because we know R&B has its moments, especially
Mhm.
modern day,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We would have been completely censored. I mean, completely censored.
I'm going to watch this because that's I've seen that on Netflix. I've never thought about
Man,
checking it out. I don't even know why. Just never thought about
brother,
checking it out. How many
this is a
seasons?
series. It's about 4 seasons, but each season is only 4 episodes,
Oh, okay.
5 at most. So you
Okay.
can get through it so quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
here's one of my favorite episodes that you guys will really appreciate. And I know we appreciate it because I appreciate it, and we'll definitely appreciate this because of the sounds of music. And these guys and girls actually made a lot of classics. The era of the super producers, as they call it.
Mm. Yeah.
The super producers. You may ask, well, what's a super producer? Well, let me break it down to you guys, courtesy of Evolution of Hip Hop. You see, the super producer was the individual that could do pretty much everything. They could write, they
Mhm.
could sing, they could rap, and more importantly, they could make actual music.
Mhm.
So, the origin of these super producers comes from a guy by the name of Teddy Riley. And Teddy Riley moved to Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's right, a home that is actually a part of me. The third city that is all a part of my origin, ladies and gentlemen.
I
So
felt that,
shouts out to the
Dwayne.
VA. Yes, it is. It's just it means a lot
Yeah.
knowing that this very city musically got put on the map because of one Teddy Riley, who also discovered this duo by the name of the Neptunes.
Yes.
Two guys who were
Yes,
very
sir.
out there and very different, very strange. Teddy Riley
Eccentric.
held a talent show, a local talent show, which these guys performed at, and they murdered it
Yeah.
so much to where Teddy Riley decided to bring him under his label and bring him underneath him and allow him to be a part of their producing team. Here's the thing, though, guys. At some point, it wasn't meshing the way you would have thought, though. Pharrell, Chad, the Neptunes, they actually learned a lot under the wing of Teddy Riley, but they weren't really grasping because their sound was that different.
Mhm.
So when they branched off, next thing you know, they blew up because they were doing music for a lot of local artists. And then next thing you know, they've made hits upon hits upon hits upon hits for everybody, where everybody wanted a beat from the Neptunes.
Mhm.
And then lo and behold, as the Neptunes blew up, Pharrell himself said, someone else needs a piece of this pie. So he calls a residential friend of his, personally like family, by the name of Timberland
Love
and
Timberland.
Missy Elliott. Ah, but wait, Timberland actually discovered Missy Elliott because Missy Elliott was a part of an all girls group.
Yeah.
And in the process of him getting put on, he said, hey, I need you. We got to make this magic. And the thing, before you know it, guys, that Tim and Missy connect was born.
Yeah.
Tim making the magic with the beats, Missy making the hooks and writing the songs. And before you know it, all of these classics were born. And it didn't stop there because then we transitioned to the Midwest where there was a nice young up and coming guy, swag, full of a little bit of arrogance, but nonetheless a guy who was so musically talented. Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking none other than the one and the only Kanye West,
Mm-hmm.
the man who could rap, really could rap, but people didn't care to know it or want to know it because the guy was such a phenomenal producer.
Mhm.
They didn't even want to acknowledge that he could rap. They stole stories of this man literally jumping on the table just to rap in front of Jay-Z, and this man's not even paying him 1 ounce of attention, not
Yeah.
even caring, not one bit. But when that beat hit, all mattered until they finally decided to give this man a chance with a song by the name of Through the Wire.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. The era of the super producers is one of my personal favorite episodes because, again, had it not been for the super producers who changed the history and the face of music completely again from where it had already gone, man, there's no telling where a lot of these artists of today would be because a lot of artists aspire to do a little bit of everything because of those super producers.
Yeah.
Gone are the days where all you had to do was just write a song. All you had to do was produce a track. It used to be choose which one you want to be, the writer, the rapper, the singer, or the producer. No longer do you have to choose. You could be all of those things to this day. Evolution of hip hop, guys.
How many mainstream super producers do we have now? I know Cole is one, but who
Kendrick's
else?
another.
Kendrick, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Kendrick's another.
But aside
Oh
from him,
gosh. Anderson Paak's one.
I was just about to
yes,
Him up
say,
there.
would he
yes.
be considered one?
Bruno might be considered one.
Is Black one?
Mm.
He very well
Ah.
could be. He very well could be.
That's something I haven't even
I know
thought
Big
about.
Crit is one because Big Crit
Mhm.
definitely
Yeah,
produces his own
yeah,
stuff. So
yeah.
yeah. Um man, they are all over, to be completely honest. They are practically everywhere.
I have a I have a I have a mad respect for artists in general, but I have a deeper appreciation for the super producers because there's no way, like, that's not something that is easy at all to do. Like, that's one of the reasons I think that's kind of like actually disappointed me about Kanye is because his old school Kanye was like on it, but it just seems like he's just kind of either allowed things to distract him or he just doesn't care about the artistry as much. It's weird. I can't. Well, let me not say he doesn't care, but it seems like he just doesn't care. So I would like to see
Mm.
him come out with something else pretty soon, so to combat that because I definitely didn't. I'll tell you this: I didn't listen to that was that Jesus album? Was that the name of it? Jesus
Jesus is King.
King? Yeah, I didn't
I
listen to
listened
that.
to it like twice.
I didn't. I wasn't interested in that.
Mm.
But
Wow.
yeah, I want to see something else from him. I want him to get back to the old Kanye.
A question and a thought that we all think about for a lot. But if you haven't checked it out, ladies and gentlemen, I definitely say check out Evolution of Hip Hop.
Yeah.
The series is on Netflix, and trust me, it will not only take you down. No, I said series, not Siri. Bye,
She
Siri.
nosy, doesn't she? Like, girl, I'm not talking to you.
Yes, I know. It's just like, oh my goodness. Yes, but anyways, before I was so rudely interrupted, guys, check that out if you haven't already. It will reminisce a lot. If you're a modern day, Gen Zer, then it'll at least teach you the history. You know what I'm saying? And if you're like us and you grew up in a certain era, then yeah, it's gonna really take you down memory lane and say, man, I remember that because Lord knows I was smiling and I was feeling like I was that age I was at that time of when all of this was out. Like, yep, those were the days for sure. Uh, but before we actually wrap this thing up and let you guys go, there's one final thing to quickly discuss. Now, Double XL Magazine posted a little list here, a list
Oh,
of
wow.
notable artists.
Yeah.
And it has the following caption that says, does ageism still exist in hip hop? Well, let's see. The following list of artists contains these artists and their current age. Here we go. You have Eminem, age 48, Kanye West, age 42, Juicy J, age 45, Nas, age 47, Two Chains, age 43. I don't know who LP is, sorry, but LP, age 45.
You
Ricky
got closer
Rose.
to it.
I know, I'm sorry.
Like
I
that
was
was
hoping that was E40 at first, but I don't know who that is. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, Rick Ross, 44. Pusha T, age 43. Hey, that kind of rhymes. Killer Mike, age 44. Jeezy at age 43. Jada Kiss, age 45. Royce the 5'9", age 43. And wow, the one and the only H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy, Jay Z at age 51.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to ask you guys before we go. What are your thoughts on this? Does ageism still exist in rap or no?
If it does, it's the other way around. It's the OGs not wanting to deal with the youngers versus
Yeah.
the younger folks not wanting to embrace the OGs.
Yeah.
So if there is any, it's flipped now.
Yeah. I would say that that's probably the only way I would say ageism is as well, because if you think about it, hip hop hasn't been around long enough for us to have artists that are this age. Like, I think we're Run DMC is probably, you know, if I'm not mistaken, I would think that they're probably the oldest, but I don't think we've been in this place before with hip hop to have artists that are this old.
Well, remember,
Very true.
you've got LL Cool J,
Yeah, who's in his
who was
40s,
rapping for
right?
a long time
Yeah,
before he fully
well, not so
transitioned into
far.
acting
He's in
status.
his 50s, isn't he?
Exactly. I
Yeah.
want to say he's the when he was still rapping in like the mid 2000s when
Hmm.
you knew like, okay, wait a minute, you yeah, head sprung. There you go, Cuzzo.
That was my jam,
Head
please.
sprung. There you go. There you go. You see what I'm saying? But Busta Rhymes, for crying out loud, who was not mentioned in this list, by the way, because he
Which
just released an album.
oh my god,
Just saying. Just
oh,
saying.
I still play that one too. That
One
one, oh my god, that's
one of the
definitely a good
vets.
album. Yeah,
One of the vets. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But I mean, uh yeah, as far as anybody that would still put, maybe you could throw Outcast in there because Big Boy, he wasn't mentioned in there, and he still will drop an album or single or two here and there.
hmm
We know Andre is obviously just cooling right now, but I mean, for the most
playing his
part,
flute.
Outcast.
He does music when he feels like it.
Yeah, there you go. When he feels like it. But even Outcast, for a while, lasted pretty freaking long. So I mean, it's can't forget Bun B.
Hmm.
Sheesh. That
Love Bunny.
man's
Yeah,
featured on everybody's stuff these days.
yeah, but at the same time though, we like what I'm asking though is when they're talking about ageism, like Double XL, when they're talking about ageism, are they talking about ageism in terms of the artists themselves just being older, or are they talking about like what Janine was talking about, um audience not messing with the older with the younger music versus the younger audience not messing with the older music?
It could be a combination of both, honestly. I mean, they do say that there's usually a window to this thing, don't they? Don't they usually say
Yeah,
usually when
usually
you
the
hit
window is around
40?
like 10, like it was 10 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually
But I
usually
think
like
too, like in the grand things, like the age of hip hop is fairly younger than like other
It
genres of
is.
music.
Yeah.
So your point of this is our first time being here meaning like in this situation, as far as our music choices, this is the first time that we've actually been able to see longevity
Hmm.
actually
Yeah,
happen in hip hop, and a great choice of artists to choose from
for
in
sure.
that category.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's why I'm hoping that as time passes that um we'll have another group of artists like this when in the next 20 years. I would like to believe we could get there. Um of course, like Kendrick, Cole, Drake, Big Sean, like those guys will be there. I think they will be there. But like who else? And what I also would like to know is like why weren't there any female MCs on the list?
Well, it goes back to what we asked before with that Nicki Minaj question.
Hmm.
Who really has the longevity that she had?
That's a fact. Because I was listening
Yeah.
to Itty Bitty Piggy a couple of days ago. I was like, y'all must have forgot.
You
Yeah.
see?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
There's no one
Yeah, that's true.
except maybe Kim. But no one really pays attention to if Kim still raps anything.
No.
Do you
I
see?
I
It's
nah.
such a downer.
It is
It's
because I like
weird,
I
right?
think
It's weird.
it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see where we are in 20 years. It'll
Missy wasn't mentioned in there. How old
Now
is that
Missy,
Missy?
Missy should have been mentioned for sure. I think it's more so because they like to credit her more in her writing expertise as a writer than they do as a forefront artist. Even though as a forefront
Mm,
artist, she still puts out stuff and it still hits. Her
yeah.
music is still different.
it
Um,
is.
Surprised Pharrell isn't mentioned in this either, to be honest. I mean,
Yes.
again, as a
Yeah.
producer, but I mean, I get it. You
Yeah.
know, maybe they just wanted to name a few.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't
But
know. It'll be interesting to see where we are in 20 years. It will be. It will be. Um, and if we can
Very, very
compare
interesting.
that list to this list, where does it stack? You
mm,
know what I'm saying? Like, where does it stack? I would like to know that.
mhm. That is definitely something to think about. So, ladies and gentlemen, ponder on that thought, ponder on that note. Imagine who you probably see
Ponderism.
10 to 15, 20 years from now. Yes. Yet another good throwback. Now you're going to make me listen to some Rihanna tonight. Thanks, Cuzzo.
You're welcome. Anything for
Thanks.
you.
Thanks.
Good listen.
Yes,
Good
this
listen.
old Rihanna at that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. But
She's not putting out
nonetheless,
music anymore, but that's
Hey,
another
nah,
story for
nah.
another day.
If I were her, I wouldn't. She's making spending money with Fenty. Why would you
yeah.
go through
But it
that?
is missed. Her
It
voice is
is missed.
definitely
It is
missed.
missed. But I mean,
Could use her nowadays. She
it
still
could.
influences a lot of people of today, believe it
Oh
or not.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Gen Zers are always posting her, calling her Bay. So hey, she could
Hey man.
still very well kill it if she wanted.
Oh, if she wanted to, I just don't think she wants to. I mean, the
I
money
hear
she's
you.
making right now, why would you?
But you know, that
I don't
leads me
blame
to
her.
wonder. That leads me to wonder though. Guys, I have a topic for the next episode.
All
Let's do
right.
some research. All right. I want you guys to tell me who, speaking of longevity and everything,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about R&B,
Mm-hmm.
but I noticed we talked about a lot of. We didn't mention. You see, when you mentioned what you mentioned, Mr. Derrick, about
Mm-hmm.
R&B in its prime and R&B artists,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned a lot of males. I would like to
Oh yeah.
know. Let's talk about the female R&B artists of all time. I want you guys to construct your lists from any era, 80s, 90s, mid 2000s,
That's not even hard.
2010s.
We just doing a list, cause like,
Bruh,
or we doing like, what are we doing?
It's
bruh,
not for discussion at
bruh,
this episode,
bruh. That's too easy.
but you let me know.
We need to record that before next week.
You
Yeah.
let me know for this very next episode, so you guys stay tuned because I want to explore. I would love to know who these individuals have.
Hey man,
Because there may be some names that don't get mentioned, and I would love to know why. So therefore,
I had a crush on Tony Braxton when I was a kid. Like,
hold that thought.
I cut my hair when I was like 4, like scissors, snip, snip to like here, all around, because I wanted to look like Tony Braxton and Monica. In my mind, I was going to turn into these beautiful
You
women.
killing it.
And guess who was walking around looking like a dickhead? This one.
You know what? It's okay. It's okay. Everybody goes through a phase in life. It just so happens R&B looks will do that. You know, who's to say a brother didn't try to rock a Gumby? Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen,
That ain't it.
Make me feel
I think
better.
That ain't it.
you know,
Past that.
what can I say, ladies and gentlemen? As you know, there always comes a time where you just get ready to unwind, and Lord knows it's about that time for us to unwind. So I will say,
Yes, Lord.
thank you so much for joining us right here on Past the Ox. Make sure you follow the Instagram for this very show
Past
at
that.
PTAOTS on Instagram. Make sure you follow the platform under Past the Ox that Past the Ox is broadcasted through. That's right. Follow at OTS Guys on Instagram, on Twitter, and all things on the sidelines, baby. Make sure you check us out. Follow the website, www.otsguys.com, where you can learn more about us, find out updates, find out more about other shows and contents that we have for you guys. And well, until the next time, I'm Dwayne, that's Janine, and that's Derrick. We are passing the ox to you.
Past that. Vibing through your.